In the project, Enhancing Resilience in Vulnerable Communities and Inclusion of Women and Youth in the Governance of Uganda's Natural Assets, ERIWY, Advocates Coalition for Development and Environment, ACODE-CARE International and other partners are doing something extraordinary to save Uganda from the effects of climate change.
This project, ERIWY, was the first of its kind that focused on building the capacity of local governments in the 3 districts where we work, in Kyenjojo, in Kyegegwa, and in Arua, to build the capacity of local governments.
From the severe cases of environmental degradation, ACODE's team of dedicated environmentalists have successfully offered lessons for climate change integration at both districts' local government planning and at a national policy level, leading to a new order.
We have achieved most of our targets. We have achieved most of the things we set out to do.
So when we did the next assessment, there was a rise to 64.7% in terms of integration.
ACODE-CARE International and other partners successfully pushed Ugandan lawmakers to formulate the National Climate Change Bill 2020 to address the challenges of climate change. Can these achievements save Uganda's climate change crisis? Will the bill soon deal with climate change challenges in Uganda? This is an addition to many strong legal and policy interventions in Uganda, but is there political will to implement the good laws? Climate change is a broad term used to refer to changes in the Earth's climates at local, regional or global scales, and can also refer to the effects of these changes. In recent decades, the term climate change is most often used to describe changes in the Earth's climate driven primarily by human activity since the pre-industrial period of the 1850s in the industrialized economies, when particularly the burning of fossil fuels and removal of forests started resulting in a relatively rapid increase in carbon dioxide concentration in the Earth's atmosphere. In Uganda, with the focus now being put on industrialization as one way of transforming the economy, forests and wetlands, which are important in the global fight against climate change, by providing carbon sink that absorbs a net 7.7 billion metric tons of carbon dioxide per year, are now being cut off. Due to human-induced climate change, Uganda is readily paying a heavy cost of flooding and landslides, a shift in the spread of diseases like malaria, soil erosion, land degradation, damaged infrastructure and settlement, a shift in the productivity of agriculture and natural resources.
We are a country that is based on climate-sensitive sectors such as agriculture, tourism. We have our lakes, our wetlands, our forests. All these are affected by climate change. So, Uganda's development requires sustainable use of these natural resources, and climate change threatens the integrity of these resources, the development of our country, and the livelihood of our people.
Advocates Coalition for Development and Environment, ACODE-CARE International and other partners have a lot of experience in dealing with challenges of climate change and natural resource degradation. In the project Enhancing Resilience in Vulnerable Communities and Inclusion of Women and Youth in the Governance of Uganda's Natural Assets, ERIWY, ACODE-CARE International and other partners promoted resilience of women and youth in Arua, Kyenjojo and Kyegegwa to shock the rising climate change challenges. But how did ACODE achieve this?
By using the national dialogue and the inter-district dialogues, ACODE and CARE International were able to engage both the national and the sub-national actors. For example, as I said, we invited the Ministry of Water and Environment. the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Agriculture. All these are brought together at the table. And so what are the climate change issues you are working on? How can the country learn about these things? How do we take them to the networks? And eventually, at national level, through advocacy, we've been able to provide the resources. And when I say we, ACODE and CARE International, we provide the forum and the resources to talk about, to network about these issues. The second strategy which has really worked well is, as I said, the use of the media. In implementing this project, we have used the media, both electronic and the print. Every anniversary, we are really putting out a call to action.
The National Planning Authority is the government body mandated to coordinate the development of integrated, comprehensive plans which guide the development of the country in the longer term and medium terms. It is against that background of the mandate of the National Planning Authority that the ACODE and CARE felt that to enter into the realm of government, to enter into the planning process of government, it had to partner with the National Planning Authority.
Years after ERIWY projects, a lot of success has been achieved. Solomon Andama is the former Koboko District Local Government Chairperson. Memories of felling trees for timber, burning charcoal and firewood is still fresh in his mind. The illegal exploitation of Mount Kay forest did not only affect the forest cover but also affected Mount Kay Rhino Sanctuary. Over 170 species of savanna woodland was not spared either. Solomon Andama, who is now the executive member of the West Nile Development Association, WENDA, the new approach to tackling these and other related natural resource management challenges in the sub-region was not to lament, but rather join hands with external partners that advocate for natural resource governance for vulnerable communities. Advocates Coalition for Development and Environment, ACODE, Uganda's leading public policy think tank, which among other programs undertakes research and advocacy campaigns in natural resources governance in their intervention at the local government level, resolved to explore modalities of integrating climate resilience interventions in the WENDA strategic and annual work plans.
ACODE and CARE International supported WENDA to bring together all the technical officers. When I talk about technical officers, these are district forest officers, these are natural resource officers, we have the district environment officers and other officers to discuss the environmental issues affecting the region through a consultative meeting.
Just like the West Nile region, ACODE, CARE International and other partners' capacity building at district local government levels was extended to the Western District of Kyenjojo, where the earlier district development plans that did not factor in the aspects of climate change was replaced with increased funding for natural resources at the district local government level and climate change integration in the district development plan. Richard Businje, the former Kyenjojo district local government planner, was among the first district planners who were invited for capacity building workshop on integrating climate change in the local government planning. The training undertaken by the Advocates Coalition for Development and Environment, CARE International and other partners yielded fruits.
We also introduced the assessment criteria. So if you are a local government, a lower local government, you submit your plan, then I assess, have you integrated climate change issues? Are they catered for? By doing that one, I was doing quality check and to ensure that these integrations are done.
In less than 3 years, the face of Kyenjojo has been uplifted. All newly constructed roads, schools, hospitals have been well planned with drainage system provision in place. The aspects of renewable energy have been considered in the new infrastructural plans. Reforestation has also been considered, especially in areas that had their ecosystem cleared to give way for the road constructions in Kyenjojo and other districts in the western part of Uganda. The response to Uganda's multiple climate change challenges was not only tackled at the local government district level, but also at the national policy level. Advocates Coalition for Development and Environment, ACODE, successfully advocated for the formation of the Uganda National Climate Change Bill 2020. Biyeka Lawrence Songa was the chairperson of the Parliamentary Committee on Climate Change in both the 10th and the 11th Parliament. The legislator had directed consultation with climate change experts from ACODE before tabling the bill before Parliament that was later passed into law. Biyeka is full of excitement and is optimistic that the bill, once assented to by the President, will tackle the challenges of climate change in Uganda through a multi-sectoral approach.
Uganda has chosen adaptation as key, that climate change was with us, and climate change is still with us, and climate change will continue. Now, if climate change is having that kind of scenario or trend, then we need to develop adaptation capacity. That despite the climate change, can we as a country help to live with it? Live with it by addressing the challenges to our economy, but also growing the economy to make it healthy.
The enactment of the bill or that legislation brings so many advantages. That one, it signals long-term commitment by the government in terms of ensuring that the policy measures that we have enlisted across the different sectors should be implemented.
The bill does not stop at addressing the challenges of climate change, but provides direction for key sectors and stakeholders to facilitate adaptation, mitigation, and strengthen efforts towards building an overarching, more resilient national development process. The Uganda National Climate Change Policy 2015 was designed to tackle the challenges of climate change in Uganda through a multi-sectoral approach. The policy was meant for key sectors and stakeholders to facilitate adaptation, mitigation, and strengthen efforts towards building a more resilient national development process.
So it also helped to broaden the understanding of our members of the committee as far as climate change is concerned, because ACODE and other partners have been working on these climate change issues for a long time, but members of these committees are coming from different backgrounds. Others are teachers, other accountants, but this interaction helped us a lot to broaden the understanding.
Under the same policy, the National Climate Change Advisory Committee, NCCAC, was supposed to hold meetings chaired by the Prime Minister regularly, but over a while, the NCCAC never convened. Still, with the intervention of ACODE, CARE International and other partners, strategic meetings were immediately held. In the revived meeting, ACODE gladly drafted the committee's terms of reference, concept notes, and provision of financial support.
We worked with them because they provided inputs to the bill. One way was to help us engage stakeholders, because we didn't have all the capacities to bring all other stakeholders, including farmers, private sector, together.
Any policy development process requires intensive stakeholder engagement. And as we know, stakeholder engagement is quite expensive. Government alone could not sustain that big budget of ensuring stakeholders are involved. And stakeholders are involved for good reasons. Undertaking of these key engagements with different stakeholders across the board is where I think ACODE and CARE has tried to fill the gap to ensure that government meets its obligation of ensuring that no one is left behind.
ACODE, CARE International, and other partners are proud of the success of the project enhancing resilience in vulnerable communities and inclusion of women and youth in the governance of Uganda's natural assets, ERIWY, but make some recommendations for the future.
We are glad that we have MOUs with the ministries of water and environment, of finance. We work with climate change department, NPA, and other actors, agriculture. So we want them to continue with that relationship. let them continue, because this is work in progress. So we ask them to keep supporting, to keep being part of the story. And when it comes to the subnational actors, we want them to buy into our philosophy of supporting the practical interventions. So we thank all these local actors, we thank the national agencies and ministries and all the people we work with, and we thank CARE International for supporting this project, and we thank the management of ACODE.